Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Oceanic Pro League. We're up to day 2 of week 4. But let's first up take a look back at our first day here of week 4 and have a look at exactly what went down. Of course, there was a lot of action, and it started off with a huge one between the Chiefs and Team Immunity, and then the Chiefs took on Direwolves, the massive clash, and the Chiefs victorious in both of those matchups.
Yeah, the unbeaten Chiefs 8-0. Now, a lot of teams in touch and distance of them, though. Immunity, they took the big win over Sudden Fear, and Direwolves, they kept that gap close against the Chiefs, beating Sudden Fear.
Yeah, looking fantastic so far, but the Chiefs, the dream coming through, undefeated thus far. And we have a new day today. No Chiefs are going to be on the table, but Legacy are there looking to try and stamp their name on this one. And we'll have a look at the schedule going through. Of course, it's going to be Rich Gang taking on Legacy first up. Legacy then going to attempt to take down Avant-Garde in another finals rematch from PAX last year. Of course, these two teams already faced off.
And the first two teams promoted through the OCS into the OPL, Rich Gang and Fornot face off in your third game, and finally Fornot take on Avant to round out the day.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting, this one, of course, and Legacy really looking to bounce back in the next series. Of course, if you guys have any thoughts on the matches today, make sure that you're on Twitter using that hashtag #IamOPL and give us all of your thoughts. I mean, I'm not going to talk about being underwater this time, but I'm excited for that. If you guys happen to be in any sort of aquatic environment, that would be definitely great.
How have you been doing on that one? Have you seen the aquatic
nothing.
tweet? It's not come
no
through.
one even cares. No.
We're still hoping, though.
Yeah, I'm hoping and wishing and dreaming, ladies and gentlemen.
And I believe with today's matches, we'll be officially halfway through the OPL for every team. We'll have every front half matchup. Everyone will have met each other once. So if you want to catch up on the standings, if you want to look at the VODs, go to oce.lolesports.com. You can find all the information there about the OPL.
Yeah, and so head over there, and also you can watch some VODs as well. You can check out everything that's happened thus far. It looks fantastic. I'm, of course, Max Atlas Anderson. I am joined by the lovely Christopher Papa Smithy Smith. And let's go into our first match here between Legacy and Rich Gang. And Legacy really looking to try and stamp their mark on this tournament. Lost a couple of games now to Direwolves and the Chiefs and are really looking to assert their dominance.
So Legacy come in 4-2, like you say. They've beaten everyone below them, but those two top teams, first and second place, those are the teams they've dropped points to. They're 2 games behind Direwolves, but 2 wins today against lower-ranked opposition. That'll bring them even to the Direwolves. So their future's in their own hands. They're the ones that can kind of make it there, but they need to beat those lower-placed teams to confirm their status as one of the top teams after what was a wonderful breakthrough 2014 for them.
Yeah, of course, our wildcard team from last year should theoretically come through as sort of one of the favorites to take out the OPL, but it has been Direwolves and the Chiefs on a massive tear just far. Just far enough, ladies and gentlemen, as the Chiefs definitely undefeated, looking fantastic, and the Direwolves have had some brilliant performances. But Legacy have shown some fantastic games to come through here, but it has to be on the back of Ejim and Choo-Choo's being able to make plays. Of course, Choo-Choo's not really finding all that much success on the likes of the Lulu.
Absolutely. When he plays the Wave Clear champions, when Legacy as a whole play reactive, and we've even seen Ejim on Janna, which is almost a contradiction of terms, you'd have to say, so known for those engaged supports. But when they go reactive, specifically it seems against the top opposition, they'll opt into late game comps. So remember the first game of the season, Chiefs versus Legacy, they opted into the late game comp and just could never get going against the Chiefs. That's where Legacy kind of fall apart. That's where they don't really utilize their really strong engaged champions, their assassin play from Choo-Choo's, the engaged support from Ejim. That's what I want to see them focus on today. They're against lower-ranked opposition. They should be playing with their tails up. They need the 2 wins, and they can confirm them if they play proactively and really strong.
Yeah, and of course, Rich Gang having a bit of a dull week last week, not actually managing to pick up a win at all. They're at 2-4, sort of the opposite standing as far as Legacy are concerned, and we'll see whether they can bounce back here as well. We do have bans coming through thick and fast. LeBlanc, Zed, and Callista taken off the table for Rich Gang, and Cassidy and Lysandra. Legacy sort of having to now ban away the must-ban champions because, of course, that is a massively focused ban list here for Rich Gang.
You're seeing 2 focus bans to the mid lane, already having to ban out Lysandra and Cassidy. That's a lot of pick champions, a lot of assassins already banned out in the pool. Sion, a top lane ban. We've actually seen so much Sion banning in the OPL. Some great play from him, specifically from Swiper, who's really been the most impressive Sion player. But of all the top lane tanks, Sion's the one that's getting the respect.
Yeah, and of course, Cardred, a massive tank on that champion as well in previous matchups past. Fiddlesticks is the hover here first up for Rich Gang, but that's probably not going to be the pick. And we'll see what Rich Homie decides to take away. Of course, a little bit of an interesting player, likes picking up the likes of Malphite to really allow these huge team fights to come through. But we'll see what the decision is going to be. Of course, I believe we're still on 5.3, so no 5.4 to come down just yet. So Jarvan, that man that has just been locked in for Rich Gang, still going to have armor on his stand. It's still pretty good.
Worth noting that with the revolving door that we kind of seen with the Rich Gang's roster, of course, Squiggle was playing last time out. The Rich Homie's back in the lineup. We see a bit of a role swap in bottom. Destiny's moving to AD carry from support, and Fence Boy's come in as the sub-support player.
Yeah, and Fence Boy, I mean, been seen around the traps just a little bit, but not really had a stake of a name in the Oceanic scene just yet, and we'll see whether he can really demand some dominance here. But Destiny moving to the AD carry role is very interesting because I've seen him in that support role for so long so far here.
Yeah, I've been looking at his previous champions played in solo queue. He's played a bit of the AD carry. It's kind of been a little bit of everything. Caitlyn, Graves, Jinx, all in there. So he definitely can play all of the meta picks, but he's very much untested in terms of the highest level of competition plays. So maybe this is a chance for Tallywack, of course, a new AD carry in his own right this season, to stake his claim and really open up a big advantage in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that being said, there was a little bit of a Fiora hover here, but it is going to be Choo-Choo's on the Ahri, and already Legacy have identified what they need, and they need to have Choo-Choo's on a champion that can outplay Ahri. That'll do it.
Worth noting that, of course, Chenny Boy's best champion in the OPL so far this season has been the Ahri. Even on patch 5.3 with some Ahri nerfs, Chenny Boy on those pick champions, specifically the Ahri, has been so impressive in the wins. But of course, his Orianna we've seen a couple of times when he's on the wave clear champions, he's struggled a bit. So I like them taking away, even though they're very early picking what will clearly be a mid lane champion, just denying it from Rich Gang, I think is so important. Of course, Ahri's skill matchup, they're basically synonyms at this point.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it could be an AD Ahri or a top lane Ahri. Okay. Who knows? Who knows what could happen here? But yeah, most likely Choo-Choo's going to be picking that one up. Carbon is going to be very comfortable on that Rek'Sai. Has played it a couple of times so far with mixed results. As now Huey and Chenny Boy hovering some champions here as well. And it's going to be the double support lock-in here. The answer from Chenny Boy to Ahri is going to be the Lulu. So just doesn't want to die in this lane.
Again, coming back, could be a top Lulu, I guess. Still potential for that. Could be a support Lulu. And look at that lock-in. We thought maybe this was LCK, LPL, NALCS only, but no. It's probably going to be a support Veigar.
Yeah, and this isn't 5.4, ladies and gentlemen. That event horizon is still ultimate worthy as far as an E skill, and I'm looking forward to E-Gym now with Veigar in his hands. And of course, Tallywacker on Sivir is going to be able to speed that Veigar up to be able to get these event horizons exactly where he wants them.
And the thing about the event horizon, you throw it down and suddenly pick CC, light the charm. It's so damn easy to hit those with the 2.5 seconds at max range AoE CC coming out from Veigar. Suddenly this Ahri pickup, which was looking good in lane, a safe blind pick, could be really deadly.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very scary. Couple that with the fact that Carbon is on this Rek'Sai as well. She can get around the map super fast, can unburrow on targets, lock them down so that event horizon can come down oh so easily. And you have a terrifying pick comp to come through from Legacy. But the answer, of course, from Destiny is going to be that Caitlyn. He wants to stay as far away from E-Gym as he can.
Fantastic laning matchup, of course, for Caitlyn against the Sivir. We're talking 150 plus range difference between the two AD carries. So if you orb walk effectively, you get those autos in, you get the last hits, you get the harass. Very difficult for Sivir to get through that lane. I mean, for Veigar as well, they're going to have to almost play super aggressive if we do see a 2v2, just to go, because the standard laning phase, even though it's a Janna lane, Janna Caitlyn, we're talking auto attack harass every time.
Yeah, and I mean, Rich Homie now going to lock in that Rumble here as well for that Jarvan Rumble combination. Always been strong. Actually only picked up this Rumble once and it was in the OCS, but they picked up a victory on it. So looking to see whether he can repeat that performance after quite a few weeks of play.
So we end up with the Gnar as the final counter pick for Kardred in the top lane. Of course, Gnar versus Rumble, a very standard matchup. We know Gnar's going to be able to push in the Rumble early. Rumble does struggle in the laning matchup, but as you mentioned, look down this Rich Gang lineup. So much AoE wombo coming through. If Huey gets tanky, you're going to amplify that with the only other dive champion. Of course, Chenny Boy can throw the Wild Growth onto that dive champion. The AoE layering of the CC and damage coming through is going to be massive for Rich Gang. But you pointed out, for Legacy, this is a pick comp and a push comp. They can rotate with the Sivir, plump down that event horizon and say, yep, we're going to take your turret, and you can't walk through this to deal with it.
Yeah, ain't nothing they're going to be doing about that. And having that on the hunt combination with this Mega Gnar, being able to just pop that ultimate and get this Gnar exactly where he wants to be. You put that with the event horizon and Choo Choo's just going nuts with all that consistent damage, you've got a terrifying team fight as well as the pick potential coming through.
And that's kind of the crazy thing about Veigar as well, because it's kind of come really late. We haven't seen Veigar changes until this 5.4 patch where, you know, for the intents and purposes of Veigar support, Veigar's been nerfed. Because again, the instant cast event horizon is so flexible. People used to think, okay, it's for mid Veigar, throws it down, presses his buttons, you explode, especially if you're an 8B champion, and that's it. But support Veigar, kind of the genius thing there is, okay, you can get picks with it, that's clear. You know, you can put down an event horizon, someone gets stunned, throw in a charm, someone's dead. But the interesting thing is you rotate with that Veigar, you put it down next to a turret. It has such a big radius. It's just a huge, you know, it's this huge area. That's why people call it an ultimate, is that there's such a large area of the lane that you can't walk in because of that event horizon coming through. So you just put that next to the turret. Nobody can walk near the turret, and you just take a free objective. It's on a shortish cooldown with cooldown reduction coming through naturally for supports anyway. So it's just so easy to both have a massive team fight cooldown in the event horizon, but also just great rotational ability, just throwing it down.
Yeah, and if you're talking about rotational ability, who best to couple it with than this Sivir at the same time? And, you know, Gnar has great split push utility here as well. Ahri, incredibly safe, so you can get some free auto attacks on some turrets and still stay okay. And Carbon, of course, split-pushing monster on Rek'Sai. You can just use that Void Rush to get exactly where you want to be.
But that's why I really like Destiny picking up the Caitlyn. For one, he's picking himself into an advantageous bottom lane matchup. So as someone who's just moving towards the AD carry role because of the roster swap-ups, that makes sense. You want to pick into a winning lane matchup, and you just want to keep the Sivir anchored in lane, under her turret, no chance to rotate. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
If they can extend the laning phase and stop the early rotations coming through, if there's no 3 turrets down for Legacy at, say, 15 minutes, if they stop the rotation, that'll be great for them. And of course, they've got the Gnar versus Rumble matchup. Rumble's going to have to be defensive. Theoretically, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of a war of attrition. They just want to stop the early rotations coming through with that Veigar.
Yeah, and is it all going to come down to Fence Boy here on this Janna as well? Sort of the sole disengage to come through from this team?
I think in the late game especially, that'll be important. Of course, if Janna and Caitlyn get stunned up, that's going to be massive. They need the Janna hanging back even more than she does usually. Of course, as a Medjai's user, known so much to stand at the back of the fight, disengage, disengage, disengage. She'll have to watch her position. If she dies first in a fight, it's going to be difficult for Rich Gang to pick up a team fight victory.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Of course, they've got Chenny Boy as well. That Glitterland's fantastic, slowing down approaching enemies coming through. But I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough just because on the hunt, so much consistent movement speed. And Ejim, you have to think, going to be going for those mobility boots, waddling around this map at top speed in that hilarious Viger state that he gets to. And my gosh, it's going to be very, very hard for Rich Gang. But of course, Rich Gang known for their mid-game power. So we'll see whether they can capitalize on that and use it here. And, you know, the fact that they have a sort of mixed up roster, it's fantastic that Rich Homie has come back because they now have some sort of solidified their top side of the map.
Absolutely. The top side of the map is just that much more reliable and expected coming through from the top. You know what Rich Homie is all about. Exactly. Yeah. It's a comfortable thing, and they need comfort there because, again, the bot lane's kind of in tatters. They're going for what will work with them. They're going for a bit of emergency procedures. And against Tallywacker and Ejim, who have looked quite good so far in the OPL.
Yeah, they most certainly have. And Tallywacker coming from that top lane looking brilliant. And I want to talk about Kardrid's Gnar, because Kardrid's, who swapped out of that bottom side of the map, he's 2-0 on his Gnar so far. He's had a fantastic performance, and this has a lot to do with the fact that Mini Gnar plays a lot like a Vayne.
Absolutely. It's a ranged carry. You have AoE wave clear, which I guess that's not really Vayne-like, and of course you have the big wave clear in the Mega Gnar form, but you're right, he's been very on top of that champion. They've engaged very well and played around the Gnar bar very well in fights. That's kind of the difference between the teams that really take advantage of all that Gnar offers and the teams that, you know, looked good on Gnar back when Gnar was at its strongest point of power on release. Right now, you have to be so careful with your timings, because when you hit the big Gnar ultimates, it can be massive. But if teams can really kite away when you're in the mini Gnar form and just never really let you get the big Mega Gnar against the wall, it's just that much more difficult.
Yeah, and that's going to be on Fenceboy to really make sure these things can happen, as he really wants to be using those monsoons effectively. And with no Black Shield, it's going to be difficult. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get onto the Rift for Rich Gang taking on Legacy. And we'll see whether Legacy can continue their form. despite some losses here against Chiefs and Direwolves, really wanting to solidify an opportunity to get to that top 2 position.
So usually when we're talking about the Vega support, we start talking about lane swaps, because again, champions like Leona can really bully Vega around in lane, but this is Caitlyn Janna. So although Caitlyn is going to be playing and will be a big bully in this lane, Janna definitely doesn't have the big engage potential on the Vega, who's of course great going forward, great when he's getting the stuns with the Event Horizon, but weak against strong aggression when he has the Event Horizon on cooldown. With the Janna in lane, they could realistically happily go for a 2v2 here, Legacy, and they don't have to necessarily look for that lane swap.
And we do have Ejim heading around this top side. Tallywacker is committed to that bottom area when we do have Destiny and Fenceboy already down there. Carbon able to single-handedly remove a ward here in this brush. Actually going to go relatively aggressive here into the enemy blue buff. Takes a help picks for it and actually halves his health.
Yeah, didn't really have to go that aggressively to get the one ward down. The spot where he put it could have just put it over the wall. So maybe took a little bit of extra harass. Of course, that does mean that he's going to be entering the jungle at 155 or even slightly later. So he will actually pay the cost of his jungle timings, be just that slightly behind. But in the grand scheme of things, probably not going to mean too much.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. We do have Legacy actually picking up this lane swap here as the hard push to come through from Rich Gang here on the bottom side. A little bit of duo jungling to come down, and Destiny already removing so many of these creeps. And we've seen a lot of freezing going on when these lane swaps happen, not in the case of the Rich Gang.
No, they're pushing hard, as you mentioned. It looks like Legacy have been the ones who have opted into this lane swap. Of course, you can tell because they've taken their bot lane and put it top. Is Rich Homie going to eat a bit of harass when the Event Horizon comes down for the first time? Yeah, Rich Gang pushing hard, and we haven't seen the reaction come through from Kardred. He hasn't entered lane. Usually people would use their teleport early just to make sure they get all the experience from these creeps pushing against the turret, but for so far he's going to miss at least a wave.
Yeah, another Event Horizon to come down. Ejim continuing to put on the pressure. Eats some harpoons for it and has to be a little bit careful as he takes about 100 health.
You see the wave clear coming through in the mid, but yeah, of course going to hang back so far as Rich Homie is max. He's using the E at level 1, which unfortunately he can't overhit it, so it actually becomes quite difficult at level 1 to get the ranged last hits. But he's going to ping 2 now and have the option of just getting in there and getting as many creeps as he can.
Yep, speaking of level 2 though, Tallywacker now has that Boomerang Blade in order to get a fair bit more damage down. Nice use of the Ricochet in order to reset his auto attack animation. Pick up some extra creeps here as well, as Chenny Boy has taken a little bit of harass in this lane. Misses a Glitter Lance as well as Orbit Deception comes down. Huey being very aggressive early on. Charm doesn't land from Choo Choo's as he just fakes out towards this top side. Carbon waiting in the wings, but he's going to be okay. And Fence Boy going to... Actually, Chenny Boy. A couple of boys on this team. Chenny Boy going to take a bit of damage for it.
Yeah, see 4 members up. Actually spotted out Smart Ward coming through from Rich Homie. He's level 3. Kardred's only level 1, but they might be looking for the dive.
Yeah, they get the Unborrow knock up. There's the flash in response here, but no follow-up CC apart from that red buff. Rich Homie gets caught by the creeps. The flash from Kardred doesn't get it with the last auto, but he's going to die to the turret. First blood and an assist is actually going to net Legacy a little bit more gold.
But we can see that the answering objective comes through from Rich Gang. They've already started the Dragon. They are going to be able to take it down. Rich Homie picks up a nice load, 300 gold from being able to pick up the gold for the answering kill. You get the advantage to Legacy in terms of gold, but it's a slim one and they lose an objective.
Yeah, Huey managing to easily smite away that Dragon. Nothing Choo Choo's could do on his own as Event Horizon to come down here as well. And Rich Homie teleported back to this lane, and he's actually quite healthy. Of course, that Amptomb Ruby Crystal going towards that Haunting Guise really going to keep him healthy as far as that health bar is concerned.
It's a massive buy. It gets him so close to the Haunting Guise. Very effective use of his gold, but no regen picked up. So he's already been chunked out. He only has the regen from the Doran Shield. Only that 6 health per 5. Not a massive amount of regen. So Legacy, they're going to keep pushing in aggressively and just try and deny as much away from Rich Homie.
Yep, Choo Choo's now with a little bit of an advantage as far as the CS is concerned in this mid lane, about 5, but is running low on that mana, has been harassing a lot with that Orb of Deception, which has gone up in mana cost just a little bit as Kardred just bounces on a few of these creeps. And of course, with these outer turrets for the first few minutes having a whole lot more defensive statistics, this fast push hasn't necessarily worked out for Rich Gang as far as getting that turret down early.
Absolutely not. You can see the experience is actually in the advantage of Rich Homie, though, because he's been in lane longer. Of course, we saw Kardred operating in that turret dive. Got a nice bit of experience picking up a kill. We'll get the answer in gold as we see the rotations come through from Ejim. It's going to be 1v1 in the top lane, Sivir versus Rumble. And now Nah, he's got a support.
Yeah, and sort of the makeshift lane, of course. Kardred and Ejim, they've got a lot of experience laning with one another. Just happy to move down into that move, but actually Huey up here, he finds Tallywhacker. Oh, he doesn't manage to spell shield the knock up as the dive to come through. There's the heal down as well as Rich Homie taking a lot of damage from the turret. And the dive not going to work out for Rich Gang. In
the bottom lane, Carbon's also coming in aggressively. It will back away. No kills coming through across the map. The heal, of course, saved Tallywhacker's life. They had to respect that, so nobody forced the turret.
Yeah, a tunnel here as well that Destiny's going to take a cute 5 gold from. There's another Event Horizon, though. The decent shield to come down from Fence Boy to try and stop a bit of this damage. The Hyper, though, doing a bit of work as Kardred takes a fair bit of damage, just bounces his way out.
You can definitely see that Legacy are trying to operate in burst trades. Hit the Event Horizon, get a load of damage off, then disengage. Because Vega, once that Event Horizon's on cooldown, he's quite squishy. He wants to get out of those auto attacks from Caitlyn.
Yeah, and Ejim actually going for a coin start here. No cute business with the Relic Shield, wanting to stack up that AP just a little bit. Speaking of AP, though, Fence Boy, he's got 21 already.
Yeah, those shields are going to be just that much stronger. Of course, a little bit extra AD for Destiny to last hit with. Janna does scale very nicely with AP, even gives her move speed with her W scaling. So many scalings, why not pick it up if you don't need it for lane?
Yeah, that's true. Ejim going to get himself a little bit of AP here. Does land the Event Horizon onto Destiny, but these shields doing some work as far as keeping this AD carry alive.
The coin star actually does make him want to sit in lane more because, of course, most of his gold generation is tied to, those creeps dying around him. So maybe we won't see as much roaming flavor, at least early, coming through from Ejim. But, of course, the sustain, the mana regen coming through from that item, just fine.
Yeah, and going to be getting towards that Talisman of Ascension all that much quicker here as well. Wants to be able to rocket himself into position for these Event Horizons. Huey waiting in the wings there, actually very still. Making sure that Tremor Sense isn't going to spot him out. Is going to spot him this time as the Scuttle Crab's what's in contention here. Huey looking for the possible smite on it, but just gets the knock-up. Chenny Boy first to respond from the mid lane as there's the equalizer from Rich Homie. Carbon's just going to die. Nice play from Rich Gang.
Huey was playing so intelligently there. Homie was about 3 creeps away from level 6, so he bought time. He didn't go for the early aggression, waited for the rotation. The equalizer coming through. Nothing Carbon can do. So much space control coming out of that ultimate, and then it's putting out the Flame Spitter. Smart kill coming through from Rich Gang.
Yeah, and Ejim actually coming up here towards the top side, has to use that Event Horizon defensively as Choo Choo's does manage to get the true damage there from the Orbit Deception. He's playing from the wrong side, but there's the Wild Growth and the Spirit Rush to come down. Choo Choo's a little bit less tanky than Chenny Boy, who is going to flash away as Kardred teleports in, but not going to find anything. Just a little bit of a optimistic teleport there as Huey not going to be caught out either.
So I really like that little trade between Choo Choo's and Chenny Boy, because if you watched, Choo Choo's held onto the charm for 8-9 seconds of that engage. He was looking for it for the final kill pressure coming through. Kept his flash, but the summoner used by Chenny Boy. Very nice from Choo Choo's to be so controlled with his important CC spell.
Yeah, they are going to trade mid-turret here for the bottom as Destiny is able just to auto-attack that one through. Of course, we have made this comment many a time that a Caitlyn is only happy when she's shooting a structure. So this Destiny pretty happy at this time.
See, I kind of think of Caitlyn's auto attack as a spell that you always want to use off cooldown. If you're ever missing an auto attack, whether it's on the enemy, a turret, a minion, you just want to push, harass, and take turrets. I don't know about the particular order. Of course, turrets always preferential. They get you faster to the Nexus, but you'll take anything.
Yeah, just like shooting stuff, basically. So pretty much keep right-clicking on things, and you're going to be doing A-OK. Tallywhacker and Ejim still hanging out in here in this top side as Rich Homie managing to pick himself up another kill, staying ahead in this farm, but that gap has closed. Ejim does have that Event Horizon. Rich Homie does get caught up just a little bit. Tallywhacker has the option to use his ultimate. There it is as well as the Exhauster come through. Rich Homie gonna flash out of the way. That is going to be an ultimate traded with a couple of summoner spells here as well, but this is going to mean the outer turret in the top lane.
We're talking about this rotational play coming through from Legacy. They wanted to take the turrets early. They've already got 2. especially the key mid lane turrets. They've opened up so much vision around the blue buff of Rich Gang. That's a structure now they can realistically try and have a monopoly over. But right now, they're just trying to get in position because the dragon's up.
Yeah, Choo-Choo's going to sweep out some wards here as well. Legacy not going to find the pink ward sitting in that brush as Fenceboy is going to try and defend his pink, but he's not going to be able to. Cardred charging up some rage here by hitting a few wards.
So we've got the guaranteed vision of the Scuttle Crab. I know how you like to keep tabs on the Scuttle Crab battles. Definitely first blood Scuttle Crab around Dragon to Legacy.
Yeah, Cardred just going to bounce his way out of this one. Blue buff is alive. Choo-Choo's probably wants to pick that one up. Needs that cooldown reduction and mana regen now with Ari having a few more expensive Qs to be thrown out.
Trying to clear vision. Of course, they will never have the full clear vision because of the aforementioned Scuttle Crab coming through to Legacy. They do have a level 7 Rumble who's quite overtuned, especially for a lane swap situation. You have to respect Rumble around the Dragon. Usually we're talking about first Dragon. It's second Dragon at 11 minutes, so it's still very, very early. No semblance of magic resist being picked up. This Equalizer can wreck a fight, and Rich Homie, his first Equalizer, taking down Carbon, stoning control, he clearly has an aptitude for playing this Rumble.
Yeah, and actually has been involved in every sort of kill that's going to be across this map, actually. The only death the Legacy managed to achieve was on Rich Homie, and he's picked up both of the kills here as well. So he seems to be the point of call as far as all the action is concerned. Chennyboy going to continue to try. Oh, actually, there's the flash into the event horizon. The charm lands. Chennyboy gets eliminated, and that Equalizer not going to do anything.
Yeah, the significant factor, they might have still had to respect the Equalizer if it was available, and they grouped up around Dragon. Rich Homie uses it to hope for disengage, hope for Chennyboy to live. He doesn't even get to use Wild Growth, and this should be an unanswered Dragon to Legacy.
Yep, Cardred even able to charge up that Narbar here as well. Carbon does manage to smite that one away. It was a cute little peacemaker from the backside for Destiny, but doesn't achieve it, and Legacy, they even out the Dragons here after Rich Gang's intelligent early move.
Yeah, so the gold mostly reflecting the extra turret that's down for Legacy. We see advantages and disadvantages across the lane, specifically in the mid lane. Choo-Choo's has been playing aggressively. We've kind of seen that with some of the great trades he's getting in with Chennyboy, and now the assassination on him moments before. He's about 17 CS ahead. But Destiny, the sub 80 carry, the support moving to 80 carry, doing very well for himself.
Yeah, it does actually have a lead in that gold here as well, even if it is by about 40 gold, which is basically nothing. Choo-Choo's going to use that Orb Deception, try and clear out this wave as well as Rich Gang coming through for their fabled full team roam very early on in the game.
Last of the outer turrets is up bottom lane for Legacy, so they want to get the push down there, but of course so far away from the mid lane. They have the mid lane turret advantage. It gives them an excellent lane ward that spots out all the rotations coming through from Rich Gang. They have the options here to Legacy with that mid turret being down.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Destiny is going to move around. Has managed to pick up that bottom turret, but he is heading towards that bottom lane again. And should they be using this Caitlyn in order to put pressure on other lanes and keep pushing out these minions?
I think, look, they're behind in turrets and in terms of map movement, just with that assassination coming through from Choo-Choo's, maybe there's not the confidence or the ward coverage potentially to push out some of these side lane turrets. I guess I can only kind of speculate as to why they're playing so defensively. Maybe they just want to double down on this last outer turret down bottom and kind of extend the laning phase to stop the advantage of the on the hunt coming through rotationally from Tallywacker on that Sivir. At the moment, though, happy to sit in the bottom lane and clear waves.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Rich Gang feel like they're on damage control at this stage, but of course, with only 2,000 gold being the difference, that is basically nothing here at 14 minutes, and they could be making some moves, but not opting to, and that might have a lot to do with the fact that their comp not quite as pick-orientated as usual here for Rich Gang.
So much heavy lifting around how their comp works is actually on Huey, and we talked about Huey's KDA and wins. He's been excellent in those wins, but a lot relies on precise engages. The event horizon's down, Huey does show up in bot lane, but just too much gap to close.
Yeah, and Destiny eats a boomerang, but he is going to be okay. Of course, that Eye of the Storm doing some work here from Fenceboy, being able to really keep him topped up as far as that shield is concerned. And when it comes to burst damage, a shield is the best option.
Absolutely. If you're topping up health with a shield, you give extra effective health, and of course the attack damage stats coming through. So in laning phase, if John is against a non-sustained support like Ejim, the shield's great.
Yeah, Ejim, just look at that waddle. It's just hilarious. Walking around here, does get spotted by a ward. Howlingale not going to find him here as well, as Huey actually flags and drags his way into an Event Horizon. Ejim in so much trouble. There's the ult, and Destiny picks up the kill. The teleport to come down from Rich Homie. He actually follows it as well. That might mean an inner turret in the top lane.
Yeah, we saw the quick cancel from Kardred. Rich Homie takes the teleport. With Rek'Sai so close, they're going to lose their blue buff for sure, and will lose a lot of health on that inner turret. Bit questionable for him to follow the turret, but maybe they just want to answer the inner turret with the mid turret.
Yeah, they're moving towards this mid lane. Of course, Destiny staying towards that bottom side as Carbon decides to keep on this push. And why wouldn't you as well? With so many members towards that mid lane, a lot is going to be on Choo Choo's, and whether or not he can clear out this wave as effectively as he can. Inner turret at half health already. That one is going to go down. Choo Choo's lands a charm here onto Chenny Boy as well, who has to be careful. And there's Ejim on his way back. Wild Growth forced out here onto Rich Homie to keep him alive. Choo Choo's did use his ultimate, and Ejim still playing aggressive. They take down the inner turret, and Legacy just asserting dominance on this map. And we were talking about Legacy needing to be proactive. That's what they're doing this game.
I mean, they've taken an inner turret. You have to say they lost the maximum, but we see Huey going in.
Yeah, there's the equalizer as well. With that Cataclysm, nowhere Kardred could go. The Event Horizon's there. And Ejim is out as he tries to save his top laner unsuccessfully.
So the key factor with what we were looking at, they lost the inner turret. You thought, okay, they'll answer this with the mid turret. It's not exactly the most even trade gold-wise, but taking the mid turret gives you so much pressure. You can push the wards up. You can kind of understand it. The issue was Destiny wasn't grouped with the 4, so they didn't have the Caitlyn for turret damage. The turret stayed very safe. Choo Choo was able to get a few choice charms in to chunk out members, so they definitely lost the maximum trying to trade for that mid turret. They needed Caitlyn group. They didn't have it, so they had to answer the push coming through in top lane, and now they've lost both their top lane turrets.
Yeah, and that wave just pushed all the way back again for Legacy as well, as Kardred came around and cleared that one out, and Destiny continues to take residence in that bottom side. Someone should let him know that he can leave that lane if he wants to, but hasn't really got that memo just yet. And you really need to be using a Caitlyn to take down the easy turrets on this map. They've got a top outer, they've got a mid outer. You really need to start really putting the pressure down, because if he just stays in this bottom lane, not really doing anything as far as objective control is concerned, it's just going to be Rich Gang falling further and further into a hole, you have to think.
Yeah, I follow the conventional wisdom, because of course a lot of people say, oh, but Caitlyn falls off in the mid game. I don't agree, just because Caitlyn's ability to take turrets is unparalleled. Being able to put down the traps to zone space, to have the great reliable escape in the 90 caliber net, and the 650 plus range, able to just auto attack down turrets. In the mid game, your job is to rotate around and take turrets. If you're just anchored under a turret, clearing waves and doing nothing offensively, yes, you'll fall off, but that's just your own strategic decisions, not necessarily the champion.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see whether Rich Gang are going to utilize that one, as Event Horizon going to stun up 3 members here of Rich Gang. They do manage to get this pink ward down, though, as Rich Gang do get enough damage onto that one. Of course, 5 members is probably enough in order to secure that. Chenny Boy not going to get hit by that Dark Matter, as Legacy looking to start something up. Ejim does have the Event Horizon there again. Zones out so much control, but it's a decent equalizer. Carbon goes down so low after picking up a kill, but it's Choo Choo's and Ejim following up with so much damage. Rich Homie manages to answer with Choo Choo's, but he's getting slowed down, and the On The Hunt is enough. There's another one as Ejim lands the stuns. It is a lot of damage back, and Destiny doing some work as he gets a double kill, but he's the last man standing. Legacy, they win the trade, but not by as much as you'd expect.
Not by as much at all. Carbon decided to split push and push in a wave rather than regroup. Okay, he was at low health, but it would have been a 3v2 outnumbered situation. As a result, Destiny suddenly 3-0-1 and double buffs, now sitting on 1,500 gold. He might kickstart his build, but you look like just with Carbon ulting back in, using the Void Rush, you have to think they want this second dragon do Legacy.
Yeah, Rich Homie did have a very nice time with that equalizer as well. It was placed beautifully here. Him and Huey are able to do the work as Rich Gang, they've got a couple of members. EQ over the side, and that's an easy steal for Huey. Ace in the hole under Carbon. Kardred's here as well, trying to build that Naba. That's a triple stun from the Event Horizon. Huey's going to go down as Chenny Boy just does not have the damage. Another On The Hunt to come through, and another knock up from Carbon. It's a double kill.
Absolutely. Huey and Chenny Boy were left for dead for Destiny there. Even though he had the double buffs, decided to move away. Didn't like the engage that was put in front of him. Doing no damage in the backline, of course, gave Legacy free reign to go in. They lose the dragon, but they pick up 2 exit kills.
And you notice that dragon was going down a little bit faster than normal. Carbon is again going for the Trinity Force.
He loves the carry, but you can see the skirmishes. Saber is all about those skirmishes. He wants to fight at every opportunity. He marks the target, they do less damage, and he just gets in their face and does the damage.
Yeah, this is why he was so surprised at how passive the European players were in that interview when he was over for Wildcard. Of course, wants to be fighting all the time, and they were wanting to play strategic League of Legends. What's that about?
What's that about? You just want to fight at every opportunity. And you can see that with the builds across Legacy. Rich Gang, Chenny Boy in particular, he's just trying to answer the pressure coming through from Choo-Choos. And even though he has a very similar build, of course, slightly undertuned in terms of AP, we saw Choo-Choos as basically a frontline fighter in the early fight, doing a lot of damage to the backline, nobody to peel them away, of course. When Huey's diving in, there's not a lot of peel. Even with Fence Boy on the team, they haven't been able to peel away that Ari.
Yeah, and I mean, Cardred here as well, it's a very, very tank-focused Gnar build. No cheeky brutalizers to come through. No Phage there as well. Nothing like that, just going for full tank after his Doran's Blade. And that seems to be working out fantastically here because he's so tanky.
You have to love the fact that they swapped the aggression of their top lane straight into the AD carry position, and then their more defensive, positioning-orientated AD carry. He can build a Randuin's before he even had boots, was what Cardred did. He knows his role this game. He needed a Randuin's, and he had it very, very early.
I just want a big shield, guys, and I'll be A-OK. Of course, I don't know where Gnar keeps it, because pretty small champion when he's not in Mega Gnar form. EGM going to try and clear out this pink ward here as well, as Legacy try and strangle some vision. Now with so much control, that inner turret in the top lane falling down. Only a couple of inners remain as it is 4 turrets to 1. Chenny Boy caught in the event horizon here just a little bit. Not going to get stunned as the Prey Seeker's going to find him.
Yeah, was able to just use his fancy footwork, not get stunned, because of course no pressure of charm coming through. Choo-Choos wasn't grouped with the rest of the team. You can't play that fanciful. You can't just move from side to side when the charm really forces you to make a decision in terms of positioning.
Yeah, Scrying Orb going to find EGM here as well. Carbon's completed that Trinity Force. And we're normally talking about a top lane power spike when it comes to that item, but not this time. It's in the jungle.
I mean, 3, 1, and 2, so he was snowballing to an extent you can understand a Trinity Force. And can you really blame someone for building a Trinity Force out of the jungle when he finished it at 20 minutes? That's a very good clip for anyone to pick it up, especially with already Boots 2 and another offensive item in the Warriors being completed. Carbon is so overtuned for damage. In terms of gold lead, he's 3,000 gold ahead almost of Huey. And that's all damage. He spent all his advantage in damage.
Yeah, and he's got a 70 creep advantage here as well. Has been split pushing, and this is what happens when you build damage on your Rek'Sai. You can use it as a legitimate split push source because you're not just a damage soak, you're a damage threat in these fights.
And the crazy thing is, you look down the CS values, it's not like he's been taking the CS from other people. It's Rich Homie again. He's been trying to group. It's been Rich Gang losing CS to turrets, just losing CS that hasn't been picked up. Whereas Legacy, you can tell from the creep numbers across the board, they've been picking up every creep that comes their way.
Yeah, Carbon actually 20 CS up on his top laner, but his top laner's only 7 down.
That's the thing. They're picking up so much more CS that's dying to turrets for a Rich Gang. And that just means the gold further snowballing without even more objectives to have to be talked about. 5,500 gold is the lead. It's big, as Cardred, he wants to steal away the blue buff.
Yeah, and Legacy now with a huge opportunity. Rabadon's death cap has been completed by Choo-Choos. He's got so much damage on his Ahri at this stage. Doesn't have boots too, just has a sweet red hat. Actually, purple hat. It's just red background. It confuses me there just a little bit. See him going to come around looking for that Event Horizon. Choo-Choos eats a cupcake. That was delicious. Event Horizon going to find a couple of stuns here as well. The charm doesn't land, and EGM just gets eliminated. There's the equalizer to come through here as well. Legacy might want to re-engage as Huey gets Wild Growth. The beautiful bait, but it's not enough. As here comes Rek'Sai Carbon trying to come into this fight. He's already half health though, and Cardred doesn't have the Gnar bar ready. Doesn't even land that boomerang here as well. The double boomerang comp, always exciting to watch. But Tallywacker, he wasn't there for that fight.
Legacy were very fortunate that Rich Homie threw out the equalizer short. They were able to disengage from it, get away from it, and find a safe passage towards their side of the jungle. So they did not get burned down by the equalizer. In terms of items, Rich Homie's got definitely the early game clip very early, having those Sorcerer's Shoes, the Haunting guys, and just working towards the Zhonyas. So he's actually looking fine. That was a big equalizer, but again, just a little bit short allowed them to be disengaged from it.
Yeah, of course, did secure the kill onto EGM, but EGM doesn't really mind that much, of course. He's a little Viger, and once that Event Horizon's down, his job's basically done.
And EGM also bringing out some skin differences with it, bringing up the Baron von Vega, not the superb villain Vega we've been seeing recently.
I like the Baron Von Vega.
It's just a bit more evil.
Yeah, it is definitely evil for obvious reasons, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Homie going to keep clearing out these minions. As Ejim is going to get rid of a ward here as well. Takes him a little while, but in the meantime, Chenny Boy, he's dead.
Chenny Boy actually had gone for a bit of a walk and found 3 members of Legacy in his face, so he just kind of instantly died.
Yeah, I was excited about Ejim clearing a ward, but Chenny Boy died in the meantime. Dragon is going to respawn here as well. Tallywhacker waiting around patiently for that guy to come back into the pit. And him and Ejim going to be able to take this one down for the second here for Legacy. Of course, that's going to even it out at 2-2 as Carbon comes around here as well just to try and secure this one. No steals to come down for Rich Gang as they have no interest in this Dragon whatsoever.
And to be honest, Rich Gang can't really have a stake in their own Dragon. We're going to see a pink ward being cleared out in the bottom lane. They don't have many wards around their own side of the jungle. They're not even thinking about wards on the enemy side of the jungle. Basically, all neutrals are open for Legacy.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to take down this inner turret as well. They've got a lot of damage as Carbon's got that Sheen proc here as well. Huey gets caught by that Event Horizon, but it's only going to be on 1, and that's going to mean Huey wants to come in. Ejim goes down solo. That's the equalizer just to kill the Viger as now the on the hunts there. Cardred with a beautiful evolve. There's the flash into the Nara as well. Gets the stun, and both supports are now dead, but so's Tallywhacker. Rich Gang managing to turn this one around. Destiny now free hitting from the back line, but a double kill for Choo Choo's as he finally turns up. That's going to solidify it here for Legacy.
Choo Choo's rotated very, very late. Only picked up 2 exit kills. In terms of a 5v5, Legacy would have won at landside if they were grouped. That's why we saw the overcommit onto Vega. They wanted to get a pick before Choo Choo's could group. And in the end, a very even trade despite how far ahead Legacy are in this game.
Yeah, Legacy's still able to get an inner turret, but let's see what happens.
So they definitely overcommit here for Ejim. Watch what he eats. He uses the Cataclysm, and they only get the equalizer damage on Ejim. You can see on the minimap, Ari's still rotating. She's very slow to rotate. So they want to get as many exit kills and get out here, the Rich Game. But so fortunate, the Gnar comes out just the perfect time. And then Choo Choo's, he's loaded with damage. He picks up the 2 exit kills. Destiny himself, 4-0-2, doing very, very well. But we've commented on the fact that we haven't really seen the purchase out of this Caitlyn. We haven't seen the rotations come through. Still only 1 outer turret with that Caitlyn. She needs that extra damage item to be a team fight Caitlyn because she hasn't really filled her role as the mid-game pushing Caitlyn.
Yeah, but of course does have 3 items now. He's actually ahead as far as the gold is concerned of Tallywhacker. So not doing too bad.
Doing just fine for damage, but again, hasn't picked up those structures.
Yeah, you got to be in the right spots, don't you, really?
The rotations haven't been there for Rich Gang. With this new lineup, they definitely haven't been as on point in the early game as we've kind of typified Rich Gang. Even in week 1, they were very on point with their rotations and their victory during that week. In this game, they've been kind of trying to look to answer whatever Legacy have thrown out to them, but Legacy have been fighting on multiple fronts. They're winning in CS, they're winning in turrets, they're even now in Dragons. It just feels like, I don't know when Rich Gang are going to put up their big stand, when they're really going to initiate a fight.
Yeah, when they've decided that they really want to fight here. Of course, the Zhonya's Hourglass has been completed on the side of Rich Homie, so he's going to be able to be that golden flamethrower, able to sit in the middle of this fight, and that might mean that Rich Gang might want to start the fights. Of course, when they do get that Equalizer Cataclysm combo, things are working out great for them. They're picking up kills in these trades.
But kind of extending the window before they get their first big wombo combo down, to the point that Carbon has Trinity Force, Warrior Enchant. He's close to a Banshee Veil now. Like, you're letting someone from the jungle go Trinity Force into tanky before you choose to fight. So he's going to be so overtuned for damage. There was a portion in time when he would have been burned down by the Equalizer, even just with the magic penetration items. But now he's actually relatively tanky, and we've already seen the damage he can do in the front line.
Yeah, Carbon's actually, he's out farming both solo lanes of Rich Gang on this Rek'Sai from the jungle. This is really weird.
It's the second time that he's kind of power farmed.
This is some Saint Vicious type stuff.
This is some Saint Vicious Season 1 stuff.
Yeah.
It's not Udyr, it's Rek'Sai. That champion wasn't around in Season 1, was Rek'Sai, but she can definitely farm all the things, and then she can say, no, don't worry, team, global. I got the global, I'll be there eventually.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Nocturne of old here, as well as the Dark Matter going to come down. As Rich Homie going to use that Zhonya, as he might have baited effectively here as the Boomerang comes through from Tallywhacker, coming through to the backside as Rich Homie taking a lot of damage. Carbon already at half health as he comes in. The Event Horizon locks down Huey as well, who just flashes out. The Skirmisher Saber going to be used, but not going to find him as Wild Growth going to keep him alive. A lot of flashing health bars. but Legacy are going to survive, but so are Rich Gang.
Amazingly, Rich Homie lives. He didn't even have Flash available. He held on to the equalizer a long time after coming through from the stasis. Choo-Choo's, he was the big one to track. He came into the fight late, could not get the assassination on Destiny, and no one dies.
And this is what you were talking about. Look at the zone potential to come through, able to take down that turret, and the flash into all of the abilities from Choo-Choo's going to get rid of Chenny Boy.
There's knowing your ranges and going for a flash double Q needed. He needed both sides of the Q to get the kill, but that's how good Choo-Choo's is. He judges it perfectly and takes down Chenny Boy.
Absolutely wonderful play. Carbon, he's going to be able to throw out a Prey Seeker here, but not wanting to risk taking down that pink ward. Lots of tunnels here in the river. My goodness, Ejim, that was close, buddy.
So we check in on the gold. The highest gold value on Legacy, you guessed it, it's Carbon, farming up all the things. He's actually a few hundred gold behind Destiny. So Destiny, in his debut at AD Carry, doing very, very well. Okay, the rotations haven't been there. That's probably a team call. That's probably not his selfish play. But man, he's picking up the creeps wherever he can.
Oh yeah, he is on the clock here with these creeps. 30 minutes in, 300 CS, definitely doing well. And his lane opponent, second highest in the game, but 40 CS behind.
But given how this game's shaking out, he kind of has to go full damage. He kind of needs to be that hyper carry for his team, and the assassination potential from Choo-Choo's is significant. No magic resist, no QSS completed yet. Gonna have to be so on point with the disengage is Fence Boy. Or if Destiny falls, so much of his team's gold dies with him.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, Tallywacker, it's not really up to him to do all that much. He needs to pop the ultimate so that Legacy can get their members in. And then Choo-Choo's, he's got a lot of AoE damage and assassination potential himself. As here's the ultimate to come through. Actually, it's going to be the Talisman Huey. He gets locked up, immediately destroyed as Carbon gets that kill. Equalizer, just an afterthought in the backline. Not going to be doing too much as Spirit Rush is going to get Choo-Choo's to safety. Carbon, not as tanky as he'd like, as he's going to have to go back to base. Does have that Void Rush available. He can get in and re-engage this fight. A little bit like a teleport revive Karthus here in this Rek'Sai play.
There is very similar flavor now that you pointed out. It was very amusing to see a jungler bite the bullet, bite the ace in the hole coming through from Caitlyn, almost die to it because there's no armor, only really the selfish stats being picked up. Finally going to work towards a Randuin's or a Frozen Heart with the double cloth armor pickup. But right now, against Destiny, Carbon is certainly not a tank.
Yeah, although certainly doesn't have any fear here at all. More than happy just to play like a tank. I believe that's an Elixir of Iron here as well, because that Rek'Sai is huge. I mean, I'm sorry, babe. I'm not calling you fat or anything like that, but definitely a large Rek'Sai on the map here. As Cardred, he's been split pushing. He's already getting damage on this inhibitor turret. Nasu into the wall, but might be in trouble as Destiny's got that last Whisper. Just going to net after him here as well, as there's the Glitter Lance. Cardred taking a long time to die. Finally going to use that flash. There's the Cataclysm as well, as Ace in the hole going to lock down that kill, but it took a lot of time.
Some fancy footwork, some disengaging, but you can't run away from the sniper. The Ace in the hole comes through. Destiny continues to pad his stats, 502. Still the richest member on the Rift at over 13,000 gold, but Choo-Choo's is trying to catch people in transition.
Yeah, Fence Boy gets caught by the abilities here of the Legacy lineup as Rich Gang, they're just going to die here. That was beautiful. That Orb of Deception was like watching someone play the piano. It was lovely, just gliding over the enemy team.
And Carbon gives him, the slight clap. He claps a little bit because he doesn't care. He's split pushing. He's not interested in any of this team play. And he's going to just DPS down this turret.
Yep, PvE League of Legends coming through here as well from Carbon. He's going to get the inhibitor turret. There are 3 members down there as well, but the Baron is the call for Legacy as Cardred turns up. He's got the Banshee's Veil, which Baron is just going to dispose of here as well. He's happy to tank this one up as Void Rush comes through. Carbon doesn't even remember being on that bottom side of the map, and they're going to be able to secure the Baron.
He heard something about 300 gold, so of course he got there pronto to secure it as Carbon keeps padding the gold. He's trying to catch up. Oh, it's neck and neck. We're talking 50 gold between him and Destiny.
It's
not usually the race between the jungler and the enemy AD carry for most gold in the game, but that's what we've turned into in this match between Rich Gang and Legacy.
Yeah, and Carbon more than happy to take... Oh, no, he's not. He's going to donate that red buff over. So not going to be that selfish is Carbon. Still giving that one over to Tallywacker, who's had some decent scores in his own right. 2-2 and 9 now. Of course, that on the hunt. Fantastic for picking up assists.
So do you feel like the donation was the first or second thought in his mind when he started up that red buff?
Probably the second. I think you'd be pretty... pretty comfortable being able to make that assumption. Is Tallywacker going to help take down this Scuttle Crab here as well? Scuttle control on this bottom side river in Legacy's hands firmly this game.
All I'd like to see Legacy do is, A, clear out the pink wards, which they're going to be doing now, and get their own setup, because Choo Choo's, in terms of items, he's so overtuned compared to Chenny.
Oh, yeah.
Already he's an assassin, so he uses the AP offensively, more efficiency. Of course, a lot of AP defensive scaling coming through from Chenny Boy, but we're talking an extra Void Staff, an extra needlessly large rod, and the more aggressive boots with the Sorcerer's Shoes. You cannot face-check this Ahri.
Yeah, and look at Cardred here as well. He's got a Warmog's armor and both of those sort of magic resist and armor items that he'd want. He is so huge on this Gnar. Now coming through, that's almost 4,000 health at level 15, and that is terrifying. Huey takes a couple of crits from Telewacker. He has to go back. The Event Horizon is going to land on Defense Boy here, but no follow-up. They just want the inhibitor.
At the same point, Carbon, he walked up to Rich Homie, did 70% of his health instantly. Rich Homie had to move away. They took a turret, and Carbon's not done.
Yeah, Carbon, of course, doesn't mind at all. Just worried at the fact that, you know, there's more than one person here because he thought that it was a one-on-one this game as he just tunnels towards this inhibitor. They're going to be able to take that one down in quick fashion. There's Legacy just having their way at this stage. There's the Cataclysm, the Equalizer to come through as well, but Huey dies instantly. It is going to be Ejim falling down, but that seems to be exactly what happens and part of Legacy's plan here in these trades.
We mentioned that Huey, he's the only frontline. He's the only member of Rich Gang who can initiate a fight, and you can kind of see how that's been going for him this game. 1-7-11. He got 12 out of 13 kill participation, but being a soul tank and diving into the Choo Choos and Tallywacker as strong as they are, it's just suicide.
Yeah, Legacy actually going to find Rich Gang here as they're checking about. No reason for them to be this side of the jungle at all. There's no Baron. They may have actually been caught out, but it's not going to happen. That being said, I mean, Rich Homie, if he had that Equalizer, it would be fantastic to fight in those choke points. But, of course, when it's not there, not something you want to do.
Absolutely not. He's got all the magic penetration. He's definitely got the cost-effective Rumble build coming through. He's actually still in head in CS with Cardred. And if you've played Rumble, you know how hard it is to keep the CS up on that champion. He's great at team fighting. He's great at picking up kills. Not so good at farming the minion.
Yeah, that's probably why you play him in the jungle, isn't that right?
Rumble in the jungle. It works.
Yeah.
It's so much synergy. He's got the skin. It's a go button.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. I've actually seen your Rumble in the jungle, and it's quite effective. Huey actually going to get caught out here again. That is the E coming through from Ejim. Just doing so much work. Choo Choo's is going to finally kill Destiny somewhere on this map as Carbon. He's super tanky, super amounts of damage, and there's super creeps in the base now of Rich Gang. It's getting scary here for these guys.
It's getting super, absolutely, Atlas. Choo Choo's finally managed to get the assassination on Destiny he was looking for. You could tell this whole game he was like, I need to kill this AD carry. He's the only one with gold. And finally Destiny, in his pro debut at AD carry, falls down.
Yeah, that's another Event Horizon. Chenny Boy's gonna die here as well. Had his ultimate available, no opportunity to use it. The Flash Charm onto the Nexus because Choo Choo thinks he can kill it before these turrets go down with a spell, which is actually impossible. The Gnar into the wall, is it gonna come? As Cardred, so much damage! This is ridiculous! Carbon is just tearing through the members of Rich Gang. And Tallywacker, he almost goes down, but this Legacy squad really looking revitalized after last week.
And Carbon's Rek'Sai, the second time we talk about it, we thought, okay, maybe it was the snowball last time. Maybe he was just going for the Triforce because, hey, he had the extra gold.
Yeah, may as well.
Doesn't seem that case. Most gold in the game. Offensive build coming through, chunking out top laners, out-CSing 80 carries. Carbon, he does disgusting things on the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, he almost managed to catch up to his own team member in the mid lane here, Choo Choo's, but he was ahead in farm of every other member of the Rich Gang other than Destiny. And let's have a look at a replay just to see whether Carbon does anything, because he was on the other side of the map a lot of the time.
So we'll roll this tape. It's earlier into the game, and Carbon's at the front, chunking out the turret like we spoke about. We're waiting for the engage. They just poke out Huey. I think Huey is going to make one of his big engages. They did not work for him this game. Diving into so much AoE damage. This is where they take out Ejim very early, and we don't see Ahri grouping just yet. So Ahri's damage, or Ahri's gold, is for naught to be. They have to use the Gnar just to pick up Fence Boy. But when Ahri comes in, you can see how much burst damage she's doing. Choo Choo's, a lot of this game was clearing farm in lanes. He was caught in transition. He wasn't picking up the big kills, but it was that final one when he finally killed Destiny that allowed Legacy to finally close out this game.
Yeah, and those mid-game fights for Rich Gang, I mean, we can't count them out here. They were going very, very close to even in those fights. Of course, often losing objectives afterwards, but playing fantastically otherwise.
But it's not the Rich Gang we remember from the Challenger Series. Not even the Rich Gang from the first couple of weeks. They were so behind in rotations, especially. They've been all about the early game, picking up the turrets, starting the Dragon Snowball. They definitely couldn't get that happy in this game. Look, it was hard opposition. Legacy, they are one of the top teams in the OPL. We expect to be seeing them around finals time, and they were convincing winners against Rich Gang.
Yep, that being said, we're going to follow Legacy as next game they're going to be taking on Avant Garde with another rematch of the PAX Finals. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere.